Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Hello, my name is Kelly Devine, and I would like to welcome you to Encounter, brought to you by Broome County Council of Churches. Today we are going to chat about the literacy volunteers of Broome and Tioga. I'm joined here today by Jane CLAIR and Gary Clausing. I thank you two for being here.
Thank you.
Really glad you could take the time, because I think what you do is very important. I guess we'll try chatting about you guys first, and maybe Jane, you can let them know a little bit about what you've done and what you do.
Okay. Well, I've been executive director at Literacy Volunteers now for 4.5 years. And before that, I had a career in working at nonprofits, mostly in public affairs and in grant writing, administrative kinds of things. But I got really interested in literacy when, for many years, I was the parent representative on the Binghamton City School District Special Education Committee. So I was first working with kids who had literacy issues. And the people that we now see at our agency are people who grew up and still carried their literacy issues with them. So there's still 1 out of 5 adults in Broome and Tioga County have a significant literacy issue that interferes with their daily life. So it's a huge problem.
That's a large
bigger
number.
than people realize.
Wow. Well, I imagine it's very rewarding. It's got to be.
It is rewarding. It is rewarding. The thing that people should understand, and I'm sure Gary will talk about this, is that when people come in and if they are testing at a very low literacy level, they can definitely make progress. People make progress, but the progress may be slow, and it may come in unexpected areas. But every day there are success stories. Every day people are glad that they've enhanced their literacy.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So Gary, where do you come from, and what do you do, and how did you get hooked up with this lady here?
Right. Yeah. Been doing this for about 3.5 years. Come from a blue-collar manufacturing construction background with some college. I was drawn to it as a need. It seemed that wherever I went in my professional life, there were people that needed more help than I did. I put some time in with the 18-hour course to become a tutor, and now I'm the lead volunteer facilitator for one of our math labs.
Wow. Well, thank you again for coming. I'm
Thank
hoping
you.
people learn more where they can see themselves doing what you do. So Jane, I guess I should ask you, how long is Literacy Volunteers has it always been Broome and Tioga?
It's always been Broome and Tioga. First opened our doors in 1967. But in the beginning, it was an all-volunteer organization. There wasn't yet government funding for literacy programs, and so, it was on a small scale. But it was all Broome and Tioga from the very beginning.
Well, that's good. That's good. So what exactly, maybe you can give me a little framework of what exactly does the program do? I mean, literacy leads me to believe reading.
It's more, right,
teaching.
It's more than reading. So our mission is very simple. Our mission is just to improve adult literacy in Broome and Tioga counties. But that includes working with people in reading, writing, math skills, which are very important, as Gary could talk about later. English as a second language. And we also run basic computer classes for people who may or may not have a higher level of literacy, but who definitely have a lower level of computer literacy. So we do Microsoft programs with people, beginners, but then also we work on resume writing and that kind of thing in our classes.
So anything basically that could lead somebody to a better job or lead them in their daily life.
Right. It's all of that. It's certainly for employment, but also just personal satisfaction or needs. Some people, like for example, taking a driving test. Someone's literacy level isn't high enough to take the written test, and that's their goal. Our students set their own goals. We don't make goals for people. We talk to them and we find out what their goals are. So sometimes it's family literacy, sometimes it's people want to read to their children or be more involved in their children's schoolwork.
I imagine being a parent and not being at the level where your children has got to be very tough.
Yes.
So how many volunteers do you currently have?
We have around 100, and the volunteers and the students are about the same numbers. We try to keep it that way because we want to match the students with tutors who are trained. And it's a snapshot. It varies from month to month, but that would be sort of a consistent.
So do you have tutors that work with more than one person or more than one subject, or how does that work?
We do. Some of our tutors work one-on-one, and that would probably be the majority of tutors, I would think, and Gary can speak to this. But yeah, we've started in the past year, maybe a little more, running labs for people who are waiting for tutors.
Yeah, almost exactly a year since the beginning of our first lab, the math lab. We now have, as Jane just mentioned, a reading roundtable and also an English lab, which followed on the heels of the math lab success. And we present a forum, an opportunity there for informal learning, which is to say that tutors aren't matched up with students until they actually walk through the door. So if you can make it to the lab, then we're going to help you, and we're going to start a folder for you, and we're going to look at your goals and move you along. But that doesn't mean you have to come back the next week. We understand that you're adults, you're leading adult lives, and that you may not make it back the next week. So we continue on as best we can and as best as the student can.
Well, people would have to prioritize and decide how literacy affects their life, I imagine.
Yeah, but our students are really motivated because, differently when you're coming up in school and you're forced to go to school. These are people who have realized that they would really like to learn more and know more, and so they're very motivated when they come in. Sometimes there's frustration with how slow the progress might be, but as far as the motivation goes, it's very high.
So how many participants would you say, how many people learning people, would you say have gone through your program?
Oh.
Do you have a ballpark?
I honestly don't know because we have, that's an interesting.
Even in the last couple of years since you've been involved.
Since I've been there, but it's hard to tell because a lot of our students, are there for more than 1 year. And then some come for 6 months and move out of town or something. So as far as a total, I would only know the snapshot part where we look at each month and see how many people are there. But that's an interesting, I don't know even how I could get that number.
I'll let you think about
Hundreds.
that. Hundreds? Literally?
Oh, definitely. Well, yeah.
At least hundreds.
Because since 1967.
I couldn't even imagine. But that's, now, are you tied in with any other programs that are similar, like even out of state or other parts of the state?
Yeah, we are an affiliate of Literacy New York, which the main office is located in Buffalo. And we're also an affiliate of Pro Literacy, which is a national organization, which is located in Syracuse. And as far as literacy volunteers, the name of literacy volunteers, in most counties in New York State, you'll find a version of literacy volunteers, whether they're called that or not. But so there are many other organizations, even in Shenango County, even if it's a small program that's only really part-time, there's usually something in every county.
Yeah, which makes you understand that there's a need no matter where you go. Yeah. Now, do you find that it is people who are, they have English as a second language, or are you finding it's
right
people
now,
who speak English? I mean, is it?
Well, right now about a third of our students are English as a second language students. Many of our students are with us, but also with the American Civic Association. Some people take classes at American Civic, but would also like more personal one-on-one contact, so there are students as well. Some people who come to us, English as a second language, may actually have like much higher levels of literacy, but need help with speaking, just getting used to, and learning idioms, that kind of thing. So, but that would be about a third of our program at the present time.
Wow. Well, when I knew I was going to have you on the show here, I was thinking about, what if you went out, if you just go out and you try to read, and you can't read very well. It's the most basic thing. Everything from going to put gas in your car to going to the store. How, I can't fathom. So I feel pretty thankful, honestly, and I'm really happy that you guys do what you do.
We saw a lot during the flood time. We had a lot of new students who realized, they had to read complicated insurance policies, things like that, and it was really hard for them. A lot of times people come to literacy when somebody in their life has been sort of a, their literate person, the person who
has enabled them to just
and then something happens with that person, and then they realize that they need to learn themselves and that kind of thing. There can be a lot of different reasons for people to come in, but
okay, so we'll get to the volunteer part of it. You need volunteers, and actually
we do.
We can chat with Gary here. And so, what, as a volunteer, how many people have you personally dealt with? Do you think So the
quick answer would be a dozen.
Okay.
Is to say that at first I had a single student for about a year. And then I had an operation, and I came back to Literacy Volunteers and began working specifically and exclusively with the math lab, with this bigger forum idea for learning and for tutor-student engagement. But a dozen falls short of how many people are probably affected by the learning process. Learning is contagious. You teach one person and it moves on. Hopefully it moves on. So to say a dozen, I'm hoping closer to 50.
Okay. Well, I read on the website that you guys have, it says adults who read succeed. So what does that mean to you?
Well, it is a cute tagline.
It is.
It rhymes. But to speak to what it means to our mission is that we're in the business of personal empowerment. We would like to see our students feel confident in a voting booth, understanding what a proposal means and the difference between the candidates. We would like to see them at the supermarket reading a product label and knowing what is bad for their children, what is good for their children, and maybe more specifically how to combine a ratio of carbohydrates and proteins in their diet.
Right.
So, well, as a volunteer, what do you get out of it yourself?
I have the best job in the world. It's the best 4 hours of my week.
Really?
Yeah. I'll put in a little bit of work, and I get to see people who I already know are motivated because they're there. I get to see them shine when they understand something, when the light goes on, when they get it.
That's amazing.
It's the best.
So how does somebody participate